primary purpose of Bootstrap, at least in my opinion, is to get you up and running super fast. You know, all the coding you need to do when you get started with a project. You need to write out all the HTML. You need to hook in JavaScript. You need to, if you're coding with grids or if you're doing button styles, link styles, all this sort of stuff is just reinventing the wheel. That's you don't really need to do every single time. You don't need to prove that, hey, I know how to install jQuery, or I know how to hook in a JavaScript file, or I know how to code a button myself, or I know how to style a gradient. Get off my back. I'm talented. You can do that. But Bootstrap cuts through the crap and says, hey, I got all that covered for you, my friend. You just get coding, right? So it just lets you work from something every time, and you don't have to worry about those little details, especially if you just need to get something up quickly, or if you have a short timeline, or if you don't want to spend a month on a project when you could spend 2 weeks on a project, or instead of 8 months, you could spend 4 months, so on and so forth. And yes, in my experience, Bootstrap speeds up my development time by 50%. And anyway, one of the cool things that you could do here is use starter templates. And so here on the Getting Started page, if you just click on examples, it gives you examples that you could build upon using Bootstrap's components, and then you can customize them to suit the project that you're working on. So these examples here use the framework. So we have starter templates, the Bootstrap theme. It loads all of the optional Bootstrap theme options for visually enhanced experience. And there's a Jumbotron, there's a narrow Jumbotron. This shows you how to use the nav bars, custom components like a cover page, a carousel, a blog layout, a dashboard. If you're working with a dashboard and you want a sort of dashboard interface look, a basic sign-in page, justified navigation. If you're working for like marketing, like in this case, it kind of has a bit of a marketing example. A sticky footer where the footer sticks to the bottom of the page no matter how tall the HTML. Sticky footer with a navigation bar fixed to the top. And different sort of experiments here and resources that you can play with. Now this is cool because instead of just always starting from scratch, which you certainly can, and in fact that I do every time, you can start using the framework, especially if you're new to it. You could just say, hey, I'm just going to start with one of these examples and pick apart the code, play around with it, and see what happens. So for example, the starter template gives you something that looks like this. Right away looks nice. Nice styles, nice typography, a nice pretty header sitting at the top with links and active navigation item, and it's great. Now, if you wanted to start with this, all you need to do is just right-click and then view page source. And then you're given the HTML source. And basically what you want to do here is just select everything, Command A or select all, and copy. And then in your Bootstrap directory here, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm just going to call it startertheme.html. And then I'm going to paste it in here. Now I have to work around a few things because it's using a few extra things and some directories that don't exist in our Bootstrap directory here. So we need to go through, comb through some stuff and remove it. So here we have some extra meta tags like descriptions, authors, icons. You can add those, but we don't really need to. The description is just for search engine optimization for Google and Bing and all those sorts of things. The description that comes up on your search results for the page, that's where you add this. I'm just going to remove it for now because we don't need to talk about it. Author is you. Google and search engines would like to know the author of the page. Just add your name. And link rel icon, this is the favicon or fave icon, whatever you want to call it. It's basically the little icon in the top left corner of your sites right here. That's what that is. So if you want to create a 16 by 16 graphic, save it as an ICO file and just upload it wherever you want in your directory and reference it here. It'll show up in the browser. Title, Bootstrap Core CSS. This is what we need to change. This is in the Bootstrap directory, CSS Bootstrap min, custom styles for the template. If you wanted to add your custom styles, you just add a new file here in your directory, say styles.css. So that's sitting in there, and then now you can do that if you want and say boom styles.css. Debugging purposes, it says don't copy these two lines. Okay, well, go ahead and move these lines. We don't need them, as you wish. HTML5 shim, good to go. Okay, so here we have the nav class navbar, and it's got all these classes and stuff that are already built in that let you work with Bootstrap's custom functionality and framework. So the navbar gives it the navbar styles. Navbar inverse reverses the styles from gray to dark gray. Navbar fixed top fixes it at the top. You just have to add the styles, the classes. The styles are already built, and this is all you need to do to get those features. Awesome. Then you have container, which gives it a fixed width, so it's centered in the browser using margin 0 auto. Navbar header, inside the navbar header is where you have things like the toggle navigation. So when you shrink the browser, for example, let me give you the right example here. There you go. We have the little sandwich icon, and boom, you have your mobile navigation built right in. It's responsive, as you can see. That's what responsive is. So this is all built in. And otherwise, you'd have to code all this from scratch. And it's not necessary unless you really want to practice it. So that's what this does here. Project name is the brand. You could change this to your whatever your project name is, or have an image, your logo. Then it has the nav bar where you can have the navigation items. And then you have your container with the starter template styles and just some text. And then the Bootstrap core JavaScript. This is where we need to change this as well. The source is actually in bootstrap/JS. And the IE10 viewport hack, you don't need to add this. I'm just going to remove that. Save that, and there you go. Now you have a starter theme to work with. You can go ahead and just play around with this. And so let's see what it looks like. Starter theme. Here we go. Okay, so I can already see that there's something a little bit wrong here, and that's okay. They probably added some styles that we haven't worked with. So all we need to do here is just style. Let's find out. Let's do it right now in real time. Looks like we need to give the body some top padding, I'm pretty sure. Let's just do it right here in the browser. Find out. Padding top 90 pixels. Go less. 60 pixels. So we just need to say body, padding top, 60 pixels. So go to your styles.css because you already added them. And let's say body, and go padding top, 60 pixels. And you should be good to go on refresh. There you go. Looks perfect. And so now you have your starter theme, and you could just get started with it right here. And it's already responsive. You got the little drop-down menu there, good to go. Now you have something pretty to work with, typography, styles, everything like that. Now you probably don't know much about Bootstrap yet, so you going off and playing around with it's probably useless unless you already know Bootstrap. You can also do other things like, well, let's say Bootstrap theme. You can go here, open up the Bootstrap theme, and it gives you all the, if you include the theme style sheet, it's optional. It's a little bit more robust. You can hook that in there. You can kind of see already that, this is a bit more flat looking. This has got a gradient. This is flat. These buttons have kind of, a bulbous sort of gradient look to them. Whereas, if you go back to the index, the button is just flat. So, it depends if you want to add the theme or not. And you could certainly do that by just hooking in CSS bootstrap theme min.css. And that will just go in your, if you were to go to either your pages here, you just need to hook it in CSS bootstrap -theme.min, and that will give you the bootstrap. There you go. You can see there's a gradient there already. And now if I were to work with the styles and everything like that, everything would start to look just a little bit more bootstrappy. And for some people, that's not good. Some people don't like that. They like to look more custom. But yeah, these are all the things that you can play with in Bootstrap. Obviously, viewing the source will let you see the different classes and everything that you can play around with. And now You can also go through and play around with the nav bars, check out custom components and everything like that. So these are there for you to work with once you have an idea and understanding of how Bootstrap works. And luckily, this section is all about how Bootstrap works so that you can, in fact, go here and say, I'm just going to go snag the markup from this blog template or the sign-in page or the dashboard, and I'm just going to hack it and play around with it and make it look like my own with my own brand. And I know how to bootstrap it up. So yeah, that's how you do this. These are your examples that you're going to want to play with just to get familiar. But hang in tight because we're going to go through the very features and functionality of Bootstrap that you're going to need to know. So no sweat.